And we get cozy, right?
Well, hello there. This is Susan Hamilton, and you're listening to OffBeat Business Show. And we are real excited about you, friends, because you're making a difference. And there's never been a time to rebuild American business influence like it is now. We can do it. It's not something that we wonder if we can do it. We absolutely can do this. But it's going to take a handful of things. It's going to take understanding who you are and recognizing that 80% of American micro to small businesses tend to be family-owned businesses of 9 employees or less. That means we're building our business while we're raising our kids, taking care of our parents. We probably have a veteran in our family or workspace, and 30% of us have an addict in our family or workspace. That does a thing or two to our focus now, doesn't it? It's really hard to do the same types of things. Now, granted, those things have been going on forever, but we are operating in an era of overregulation that has really started to change the way our business conversations are held. And we've got a lot of people thinking that they don't have a voice, that it doesn't matter. Well, friends, you are the 80%, and it's about time you started operating like that, because conversations like taxation, healthcare, Veterans Administration, criminal justice are now conversations that we're all having on a regular basis. They do impact us. They impact the way we're getting things done. So it's never been more important to work smart, make more money, make sure you're existing, and make sure you're doing the 4 things that are most important right now for you to be doing. Number 1, networking. Make sure you're networking. Number 2, get your processes streamlined. Number 3, make sure you're continuing your education and business coaching. You can't afford to miss this, even though it's expensive and time consuming. Find a way to do it. OffBeat Business Media brings that information right to you. Digital marketing strategies. Make sure you are using audio, video, digital magazines, and advertising. Make sure you're out there, because it's easy to disappear, isn't it, Earl?
Yeah, I disappear often.
I'm talking with Earl Fisher of Imagimedia today, and he's going to help us understand a little bit about branding when it comes to your website. I'll tell you what. As we talked previously, you know, I've had this great opportunity in my life to have worked with people with great experience. And I've had opportunities in my life to work with young people with great flair, great design, you know, there is something about having some experience in this space that is so important today. And flair is good, flair is pretty, but function is hugely important. And so when we're talking about our websites, wow, do you still believe that WordPress is where it's at today?
I was very resistant to working in WordPress originally, because when it first came out, most of everything that I saw looked like a bunch of boxes stacked on top of each other. And I was used to building websites, you know, HTML much more organically, just an open palette space to work in. And I just didn't want to go into that boxy look. And then I started to look deeper into it and realized that I had a friend that was using WordPress, and she said, well, you know, look into it a little deeper. You know, if you get creative with it, you can do it. And so I saw this that it was capable of creating something that didn't look like a bunch of boxes, and everything wasn't going to look the same. And so then I started getting into it a little bit more, and the more I got into it, and the more I saw what it could do, the more flexibility, and the fact that you can add all these plugins and all these widgets and all these pieces that add functionality to it, that used to take, you know, many hours to code it, to build something like that kind of functionality into a website. And here all you had to do is put the plug in, install it, activate it. You know, you have to do a little tweaking usually. You know, you've got to set it up and you've got to make it look good. So there is some time that has to go into making a plug-in work and look good on your site. But oh my gosh, the things that you can do with WordPress are just, I drank the Kool-Aid.
Well, there's a reason it's so successful. And one of the reasons I think it's so successful is how adaptable it is. But as you said, you know, used to be, if you were working with an old HTML site, if you wanted to change your hours of operation or change your price or offer a sale or a special, it would cost you to hire that ad agency to come in.
Yeah, you had to have someone know how to get into the code.
Right, and change all of that, and that wasn't a quick fix, and it cost you a bit. It cost you their time. And with WordPress, that you developed a way to get in there and manage it yourself. So for the small business owner, it was really brilliant. But we got complicated. WordPress today is not WordPress that it was even 5 years ago.
No, it's not. Yeah, it definitely has become more sophisticated, more complex, and you do need to know your way around WordPress. You can't just hop in there. But what I always do is, you know, when I finish with a project, I always want to take my clients on a tour. Say, let me show you the back end. Let me show you,
Excellent.
where you go. How do you do these simple things? What kind of things do you think you might want to do on your own? And I show them, and I give them a little training so they can do it. And then, sure enough, a month later, they say, I know you told me this, but can you show me that again? Absolutely. Let's hop on there and take a look. And it's kind of like my daughter is a new driver, and she doesn't really know her way around. And I said, well, we've been here a bunch of times, but I was always driving. So it's like when you're the passenger, you don't necessarily remember how you got there.
Right.
And so it's just a matter
That's a great
of doing
analogy.
it, doing it yourself a few times, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it now. And I do have clients that say, no, I don't want to have to mess with that.
And
I just want to call you and have you do it.
And that's just it. That's exactly where I'm headed with it, Earl. Because today, that's really for the average business owner. It's something that they should not be spending their time in. It's one thing to understand it. You need to have your finger on the pulse of the business and understand how these things operate. But to actually do those types of things, if you leave, to me, one of the strongest business tips we can give them is leave the experts involved doing the expert work.
Well,
Let them get it done. Today, internet radio, you can get that done yourself. But if I didn't have a producer doing this, I'm grateful. I leave the certain things in your business and the way you do it to the experts. And WordPress, I believe, we're at a spot right now where there's so much it can do. And how many hours can you afford to put in it and still go out
People
and make
have
money?
no idea how many hours you have to spend to do a professional website. And technology has, become very, very available to everyone. We all walk around with a camera in our pockets, and everyone, everyone's a video producer now. Everyone, can edit their own, because you can't buy a computer that doesn't have some kind of basic, video editing software on it. Wix is telling us that we can build our websites overnight. It's drag and drop. Yes, it is drag and drop, and yes, if you know what you're doing, it does make it simple. It has other limitations, but having a paintbrush doesn't make you an artist.
Oh,
Having a pen doesn't make you a writer.
That was a piece of gold.
Having Wix doesn't make you a website developer, and having a camera in your pocket doesn't make you a web video producer. The technology is the last piece of the puzzle. The technology is the execution of the intellectual property, the thinking. It's the strategy. It's the understanding your audience. It's having good, solid communication skills. It's all those things that go on far before the website is built or the web video is shot, that if they're not done properly, you might have something that looks nice, like, hey, you take really nice pictures, but does it address what you want to address? Does it connect with your audience? There's so much that goes into the development process before you ever produce anything that makes all the difference in the world, and most people don't realize that. They don't realize that there's a lot of thought that goes into just the text. What are you communicating, your content? How much text are you throwing at people? Is that too much? We all kind of heard that story, but it gets down to, well, what are the tools that you have to make that text more succinct? What can you do to get people's attention? There's a whole science, user interface design and user experience that all the big companies use.
And they've got teams.
Yes,
They've
have
got
teams.
doing
It takes time to do it.
Well, and everything you're saying about the language, well, that's my forte, and that is, so I totally hear you. We can understand. That's one of the reasons I really push networking so much, because until that point, I could help somebody else with their business, but learning to speak my own was very hard. Most of us have a trouble speaking our own business, whether it's in person or whether it's, I don't care if you are, plumber, HVAC, and air conditioning. It's really not just plumbing, HVAC, and, or any of these, even, cleaning. All of these things that we're doing all the time, how you present it, how you say it is what brings people around and keeps them hanging on long enough for you to actually close that deal.
Well, the difference is that, let's just say that you're an HVAC person. That's what you do. That's your core business. That's what you're the expert at. Are you likely someone who's an expert at communicating? Probably not, although you may be out every day doing a sales pitch. You're talking to new potential customers, and you're a communicator in that sense. But beyond that usual routine that you have of how you talk about your business, when you're trying to reach out into the internet and cast a much wider net, and you're trying to talk about other things that get people interested in learning more about you, where you then eventually have the opportunity to pitch them on your normal daily expert, sales pitch where you have some expertise, that's a whole different story.
It is.
And it's like, that's what communicators are in the business for, is to help you with that.
Absolutely, and it's more. I'm really glad you laid it out like that, because even so, our largest pipeline, friends, is other business owners. Business owners are your largest referral base. Learning how to speak your business to another business owner is hugely important, and it's not the same as talking to your client. And you really need to be able to master that. Your website can do that too.
Your website should do that
and
too.
your videos, all of that can really bring those types of things to bear. So with Imagimedia, what is your biggest focus now in 2017? Where do you want to put the largest emphasis of your business?
Well, what I always try to tell people, it's like, what I do is not simple. Like if you say I'm a plumber, people go, oh yeah, plumber, I know what a plumber is. They got an image and they get the idea, and you don't have to explain much. When I try to tell people that I'm a digital media producer, that's kind of like a real high level thing I create digital media of all sorts as communication tools for business, both internal and external communications. But even though that's what I make. I make web videos, I make websites, I make interactive, I make radio and television commercials. Those are the things that I make, but I believe the real service that I offer, and this is what we were talking about a little bit earlier, is it's the thinking, it's the planning, it's the development that goes into that, to helping businesses get in touch with where they're going. They usually have their own business plans. They know where they're going on a business level. And what I do is I help them translate those business plans into communication plans. Okay, this is what you want to accomplish. Now we need to figure out how you're going to, because communication is always part of moving forward.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to help them understand the different ways that they are going to be communicating to reach those goals, and what we can do to accomplish that. What kind of medium is necessary? Is that TV and radio ads? Is that a website? Is that there's landing pages? Is that a web video?
And the answer to all of that is
corporate
yes.
training video. It may be all those things. And so I'm trying to help them with that. That's really what I do, and that's always been the focus of my business, is to help businesses communicate more effectively. And then once we have the plan, and once I know we're totally on target and ready to go, then I produce. Then I bring the thing to life. But to me, the real part of what I offer, always have and always will, is that assistance with their communications.
Wonderful. Listen, are you enjoying Earl as much as I am? Friends, we are going to be right back. We're going to listen to a few of our sponsors, and when we get back, we're going to continue this discussion, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Earl. There's some interesting things about him I think you will enjoy. You're listening to the OffBeat Business Show. We'll be right back.